Thank you for joining today's First Line Software webinar on how to successfully implement a WMS solution. We will be starting our presentation shortly.
Well, I think we'll start, if that's okay with everybody. We've got people joining us every second, it appears, and people joining from all over the world, it would appear. So it's a very warm welcome from me. I'm Richard Leslie, and I run the UK office for First Line Software. I would try and say hello in the various different languages we have, but I'll stick with just hello for the time being. For those of you who are new to First Line Software, let me just give you a very brief introduction before we kick off the show in earnest. We are a software services company. We're a 15-year-old software services business with over 500 employees internationally. The company's main heritage is around software development services. And over the last 15 years, we've created a number of different business verticals, which we focus on throughout the world. One of our verticals is in e-commerce, and that includes distribution, logistics, and of course, warehouse management. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So as part of the presentation, we'll give you a little bit of background into First Line Software, and we will also be bringing in our partner, VIADAT, who will be able to tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we'll kick off with the main guts of the presentation, which is all about implementing warehouse management systems remotely. Of course, this topic has come about largely as a result of the pandemic, where obviously in the past a number of these kind of activities would have been done on site. Unfortunately now we're having to do this kind of thing remotely, which is obviously thrown up a number of different challenges as a result. So we'll be talking you through the different challenges and how we can address those, and hopefully the result being a successful implementation of a WMS. So I'm going to, joining us for the presentation, two gentlemen, Andrei Kazakov from First Line Software. He is head of our WMS practice, and he's going to be talking through essentially the process around implementation remotely. And we're also joined by Simon Callinger from VIADAT, who will be here to answer questions and also present a bit about them. We are going to have some Q&A, so do send us your questions. We'll try and answer them at the end of the session. But if there are some questions that are relevant as we're going along, then obviously we'll answer those. And we are also, well, it wouldn't be a web seminar without a poll. So we're gonna stick with the trend and have a poll. We're gonna have one poll at the beginning, 3 simple questions, and then 1 simple question at the end of the session. So before we kick off, I'm going to ask my colleague Marisa if she would present the starting poll question, and I'll give you all 30 seconds to complete those 3 simple questions. Can you do that, Marisa? Okay. So very simply, first one, are you involved in warehouse logistics? And obviously we need to know if you have a WMS in your company, what are the plans? Are you planning to modernize? Are you just here to find out a bit more, or are you looking to implement a new WMS? And also it'd be useful to know which industry you work in. So consumer goods, automotive, industrial, or other. Anyway, have a go at that. A few more seconds to go. So if you can just submit your answers on that, and then we'll return at the end with a closing poll. That's only 1 question, so it shouldn't be too hard. And I'm now going to hand over to Andrei Kazakov, who is going to kick off the session, and and then I will see you at the end and we'll wrap up then. So over to you, Andre.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for participating. We are starting now.
No problem.
So the idea is what we will talk about today. You see that WMS classical implementation model assumes the very long face-to-face communication between supplier and customer teams, both on site, both at customer point of sale, and both in supplier's lab or supplier's office. That means successful implementation. This year, the last year, we have a great challenge worldwide, the current pandemic situation that requires significant dramatical elimination of face-to-face communication. What to do in this situation? We have the solution. We must change the methodology process to avoid face-to-face communication as much as possible and to turn to mostly remote communication between teams of supplier and customer. We have developed a system to provide seamless remote communication, and we are proud to say that viadatWMS, that is a product of our partners ViaStore systems, has been created to adopt the changing situation and provides a set of nice tools for successful implementation in remote interactions. For the beginning, some information about us, Firstline Software, and our partner, ViaStore Systems. So you see some digits about us, some information. We founded 12 years ago. We have a global employees more than 700 people. Our revenue last year was $28 million. Our headquarters in Hague, Netherlands, and global presence in different countries of worldwide, including United States, Netherlands, Russia, Czech Republic, Germany, UK, and Australia. This is a slide. This is a now I want to our partner Simon Kallinger from ViaStore Software. ViaStore Software will say some words about ViaStore and our partnership. Please, Simon.
Yeah, hello and welcome also from my side. My name is Simon Kallinger. I'm sales manager software for our software solutions from ViaStore. And here you can see some facts and figures about ViaStore. So we are pretty as large as Firstline Software. Firstline Software is a partner, a very long-lasting partnership, very trustful partnership. And yeah, we have a WMS solution with an integrated material flow control and also visualization for automated parts in the warehouse. We are present in 70 countries, mostly European countries, but also in Brazil, in USA. And so far we had more than 500 international rollouts with our customers. And yeah, we are happy to be here and support our partner Firstline for this very interesting topic. And yeah, it's about our company and me, and I will be happy to have some questions after the webinar. And yeah, please go on, Andre.
Thank you, Simon. So let's go on. And now we will take a look at a standard project implementation plan that is typical for WMS. This is a classic project implementation plan. There are, you can see 5 phases there. And now I must read face-to-face communication for standard classical implementation project. You see a lot of red here, and we will go from the first phase to the last phase, and we shall look how we can avoid the face-to-face communication to avoid bottlenecks to look at the challenges and our solutions on every phase of the project. Let's start from the project planning. This is the first phase, very early phase, where I create project team. There is kickoff, design. We are working on IT specification, some test plans, some training plans, whatever. The challenge on this early phase is that the very significant point for us is to visit customer's warehouse on the very early stage. What is our goal for visiting the warehouse? We are looking for the warehouse. We are walking along the warehouse. We are looking at some corners of the warehouse. We are talking with some people, warehouse workers, maybe with that people that are not involved in the project. And of course, every time we have a good experience on that. It's it's very important, very useful for us to look at the warehouse, to breathe the air of the warehouse. Maybe we will notice some things that our customer doesn't take an important, but we see for our experience that are important, and so on and so on. Now we don't concede. This is a big challenge for the beginning, but we have a solution, very simple solution that works. We are starting, we have an idea to start a travel in every house with online smartphone. It's common smartphone, any iPhone or it's only travel through warehouse, where the warehouse worker, manager is working alongside. We can ask him to look at some processes, to some materials, some cartons or containers and so on. And looking at the warehouse, we can ask any questions to warehouse workers. And this is a first idea of how to avoid a face-to-face communication. Of course, this travel must be recorded to look at it after, and it is very useful for us. The next idea is a deeper customer involvement in the process. You see that we are not face-to-face communicating with the customer team. We organize online seminars combining with key users training. Of course, active exchanging the materials, documents, screenshots, labels, and so on. All sessions are recording. And on this very early stage, we are starting to train our customer team. This is a very important thing, that we are starting to train our customer team on the very early stage or very early phase. And this key stuff will in future help us, assist us in implementation. So this is a small summary. This is only phase one. Warehouse travel with smartphone, online seminars, starting of key staff training. And then we go to phase two. Phase two is modeling. And modeling is a standard approach. We are working, this is phase where we do not work together in standard approach. In standard approach, we are starting modeling. We do our modeling in our labs, and the customer is invited only for testing for our labs on the finishing of modeling process. Then they prepare documentation and training documentation. The customer's role in this phase is to prepare his warehouse. According to the phase one, according to that information, IT specification that was created during phase one. And now we have a new approach. We continue to train our product experts on this phase two, and our key users, the customers, slowly become VIADAT product experts. What had changed we developed a new method of testing. It's much more detailed. We prepared step-by-step scenarios to be simple, to be clear for our customers to go on. So the idea is that we are testing our solution together. And this is a great opportunity for the customer to perform testing with us. And the result of this phase two modeling is that we give the customer more transparency over the system and more confidence on this very, very early stage. You see, we are going to train our team of customer team, key user team, to prepare the product experts for the next very important phases. You see some example of the testing documents. You see this is very detailed description of what to do, the case type, the priority, test case description, what must be in the result, some comments, some remarks, what to do in error case. All this documentation of this methodology was developed by our team, and it can be used in every project. This is a summary of phase two modeling. The standard the standard approach is offsite development and configuration, and our new approach is the same, but including key stuff for testing based on adopted test documentation. And now let's go to phase three. Phase three is commissioning on site and training. You see here the marked red are almost all items. Yes, the software and the installation of VIADAT, system tests, user training, and pre-acceptance. What is the challenge here? In all style process, their training is organized on site by our team. And in this new approach, and our solution here on this phase three is a train the trainer methodology. This is a classical methodology from one side, but we have adopted it because we are training our future trainers on this very early phase to give them knowledge, enough knowledge to give them enough brain, enough hand to know about the solution, and to train key users and users on this site by themselves. Of course, we are monitoring the situation. We are always on site with our information. And you see the advantages for the customer is a well-trained team is prepared on very early phases that gives training for the staff on site. Of course, this gives more stability, more confidence, more information for the customer, and increasing degree of self-reliance during implementation. So as a result of phase three is that the key users team from customer side gives training to the staff on site. And what happens, what changes to the most important phase, the start of operation, the go live? You see the standard approach is the red color everywhere. Of course, this is very hard. This is the most important phase, the most hard phase to be implemented in a remote way. But we have some advantage here. We have already our guys, our friends. We can name them first line software friends or VIASTO friends. That is well trained. That can be our hands, our branches on site while implementation. And of course, this is a new role for them, but it's important to say, but it's not a new person. Customer has more knowledge, more control, more transparency, and more confidence. And of course, we are monitoring the situation. We have video monitoring on the warehouse floor from our side. We don't leave our customer side on the battlefield. We are together anyway. And the approach, a summary on phase 4, go live, is that the key users team assists in pre-production and production on site, and there's very careful monitoring from our side. What happened, what assisted us in developing this methodology, why we are so confident that we can implement this solution with VIADAT, because VIADAT is a very customizable, intuitive, ergonomic product with very process-oriented dialogues, a list of devices, whatever. VIADAT has a very user-friendly interface that is very important for the workers on floor, for management, for top management, or anyone who deals with VIADAT. An overview of work progress and personal performance increases employee motivation, and this will assist significantly in product training and decrease significantly the learning curve. Let me make a short travel for VIADAT technical advantages assisting implementation process. So these are dialogues and lists of all devices that are customizable, intuitive, ergonomic, and process-oriented. This is very important. You can see the example. This is you can see the floor worker, shop floor worker. He can see his task at first glance and his work progress as well. This is a very simple task on the screen, and the worker must fulfill the task, and then he is guided to the next screen. If he didn't fulfill the task, he must describe, fix why he could not fulfill the task, make it detection. And the system will decide what to do the next. Here is the mobile terminal for WORKSTATION dialogues, and this is a rule that is very important. That is as much as necessary, as little as possible on the screen. And the next slogan is that if the worker on the floor knows how to work with a smartphone, he must train very fast to work with VIADAT as well, because it's as simple as smartphone. And now our innovative solution is a dashboard. What is a dashboard? A dashboard is a set of small widgets. You can see from 1 to 16 widgets on screen. Here on the screen at the right side, you can see 16 widgets. It's a small pieces of software with a different overview of status, warehouse, and bottlenecks that can appear. It was developed as a tool for working after implementation, but we can also use it while implementation process, and it's a very useful one. You can see bottlenecks. Here you see the example. There, for instance, order consolidation. You can see bottlenecks. You can see times. You can see WORKSTATION here. This is a daily monitor, and this can be used while go live, while testing and go live as well. And this is a summary. So in summary, the phase 4 go live, that the product experts help us from customer side and are successful in its final approach. So some words for conclusion. We know how to implement a WMS remotely. We have a very long, many years experience with VIADAT, more than 12 years experience. We have more than 12 years experience in team partnership with ViaStore. We have more than 40 projects implemented together. We use product experts to train staff on site from customers. use product experts will go live. And finally, we are happy that they are working with VIADAT WMS. This is a powerful product and flexible enough to be implemented in remote way. So thank you. And now, questions from your side, Richard.
Okay, thanks, Andre. That's really interesting, and thanks everybody for bearing a couple of the technical hitches we had, but very interesting presentation. And as you all heard, with a well thought through strategy and a clear business change management plan in place, coupled with a reliable implementation partner, of course, the concept of changing or enhancing your WMS remotely is not half as scary as you may have first thought. And in fact, what we're finding through the last 6 or 12 months is that by doing these sorts of things remotely, it encourages a larger adoption of best practice at all stages throughout the journey. So hopefully you can see, or at least you've been given a flavor of how this kind of activity that you may feel would be incredibly onerous, but actually can be done remotely relatively easy. And as Andre pointed out, not only is VIADAT a cost-effective solution, flexible, full of functionality and features, it's also incredibly user-friendly and easy to implement, as you've heard. So thank you both for that. Just throughout the presentation, we've had a few questions come through, and do keep on asking them if you've got any more questions. This is one for Simon, actually. Simon, if you don't mind, I'm going to read this out and I'll let you take the stand to answer it. What is the standard lead time for this new approach? Is it longer or shorter than with the classical face-to-face approach?
This is a good question. From one side, we have some saving of time and budget because we do not need to travel. Yeah, this is a time saving, of course. But from the other side, we must pay much more attention to training, and it takes from us more efforts, and it takes more efforts from the customer. And but it gives customer more reliance, more stability, more confidence, and they're working because finally they have much more trained. They have not only trained personnel, but they have product experts at the end of the project. So I can say that we only started this practice because of this challenge of a pandemic. Our first projects in remote implementation were a little bit longer than before, but I think the next projects must be maybe the same time or maybe a little bit shorter because they also have experience on that. Okay. I think like that.
Yeah. I think also, as I mentioned earlier, you can there's probably, by doing it remotely, there's more rigor adopted across all parts of the process. So you are managing risks probably better. Yeah. Another question, probably again for Simon. Do you have any experience or references that you could perhaps tell us about where you've done this remote work?
Yeah, as Andre already said, for now we had not one reference where we did all phases completely remotely, 100% remotely, but we have had quite a few experience in each phase, so we are really prepared to do it all 100% remotely, and we had or always have some projects running, and yeah, we have a pandemic, we all know that, and we have to be creative, and yeah, this is the approach which will work, so we are very sure that it will does.
From our side, we have one project that was implemented remotely, 100%, one project.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And then also on, again, it may be to Simon or to either of you, in terms of the standard interfaces, do you have standard interfaces to ERP systems or anything like that?
Yeah, we have quite a lot standard interfaces, and this makes it more easier for us, of course, to do the 100% remotely implementation of WMS. For example, one of our partners is Pro Alpha, with the number 3 in Germany. We have standard interfaces to SAP, but we have also interfaces for manufacturing execution systems, for HGV systems, and so on. So yeah, we have a lot of standard interfaces.
Okay. Good, that's very good. So look, we are a little bit ahead of time. So just let me take this opportunity to thank Simon and Andre for their time. We will be getting in touch with all of the attendees and following up just with some more information. But do feel free to get in touch directly to either myself. My details are on the final slide, as well as Andre's, to discuss any of your WMS implementation challenges that you're facing, or indeed any wider software development issues that you may have. And with that in mind, I'd ask Marisa to put up the final closing poll question, if that's possible. Here we go. So how interested are you in learning more about First Line Software's WMS implementation experience? If you could all have a go at choosing any of the top 3, then I'd appreciate it. We'll leave that one up there for a little while longer, just whilst I thank everybody very much for joining. And again, thank you to Andre and to Simon and to everyone for participating around the world, and hope to hear from you all soon and speak again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.